welcome to the official TikTok account of UC Irvine Ridge to Reef.
We are graduate students in the Ridge to Reef training program here at UCI, and our research looks to solve environmental problems from the mountain ridges to the ocean reefs.
Our account has multiple contributors. We will highlight the lives of 8 PhD students and their research.
I'm a biogeochemist, and I'm going to tell you about Arctic permafrost.
Hi everyone, I'm a microbial ecologist, and I'm going to show you how we study drought in Southern California.
I'm a plant ecophysiologist, and I'm going to be talking about avocados.
Hi everyone, my name is Shu. I'm a fire modeler. I'm going to talk about wildfires in California.
Hi guys, my name is Maggie. I'm a wildfire scientist, and I'm going to talk to you about the science that goes behind some wildfire management techniques.
Oh, I'm an environmental scientist, and I'll tell you about how our social media obsession can actually help us better understand the impacts of climate change.
Hi, my name is Marina, and I'm a chemical oceanographer. I study the marine carbon dioxide cycle, so how much carbon dioxide goes into the ocean.
Like and follow for more! Woo!
Hello and welcome to a day in my life as a graduate student. I'm Allison and I just woke up. It's time to get this together, I guess. So I wash my face and I brush my teeth. Do my skincare routine. SPF is crucial. And now I look like this. Amazing. Make some coffee, put a little too much of that creamer in there today. That's okay. There's my breakfast, appetizing. Here I'm walking into work, and here's the campus, very nice. I'm the first one in the lab today, so I turn on the lights and go to my office. And I usually say hi to Cindy, but she's at Disney today, so that's great. Here's me working, getting to work. Working. I think I'm making some plots. Oh yeah, I'm making some plots and I get an error. And then I had a meeting and then I submitted a paper. I've been working on this paper for years, like literally years, and it got rejected once, so I just resubmitted it. Now it's lunchtime. Okay, so I'm walking home for lunch. I live like 5 minutes away from my office. Honey and a breakfast sandwich in my little breakfast sandwich maker. I love breakfast sandwiches. I make this almost every day. There she is. Yeah, composting. Composting is good. Now I'm packing because I'm going to my partner's house after work. This is a dance break. Oh, I'm making a matcha. Dance break? Okay. There's my matcha. It was good. I love matcha. Okay, now I'm back at work. Still making those plots. Graphs. By plots, I mean graphs. Oh, and my advisor gave me a sticker. It's an Earth Day sticker. Isn't he cute? Okay, back at it. Here's a plot. I spent way too long working on that. Okay, and then now it's time for Half Baked, which is a seminar series that I lead. Today we had Bryant presenting on his field work in caves. How cool is that? And then after that we have a social hour with the grad students. I told them to act natural, and that's what they did. And now I'm leaving. Headed to happy hour, brewery with some friends. There's a brewery. And that's all I got. Like and follow, y'all. Thanks.
Hi everyone, come with me on a day in the life of a graduate student at the University of California, Irvine. Today started early, around 6 a.m. because I have physical therapy in the mornings as I recently had knee surgery. So we started out with some big stretches and cuddles before I made my way to the kitchen to make myself an easy breakfast, just fruit and yogurt today, which I made in the dark because my roommate had a late night in lab last night and I didn't want to wake her up. Made my way outside to a beautiful morning and got myself to physical therapy just on time. After PT, went home and showered and got myself ready for the day before making myself a quick lunch of peanut butter and jelly and apples because I haven't been to the grocery store in a long time. Gave Lady a few head scratches before my roommate and I headed to a nearby coffee shop where we're gonna work today. My roommate is a PhD in chemistry, so it's fun to spend the day outside of lab together. Today I'm working on my advancement presentation. Everyone in my department in their third year has to take a qualification exam, and during that exam we present all the work we've done in the last 3 years and all the work we are going to do in our final 2 years to a committee of faculty members who will decide whether or not we are capable of staying in the program. After working at the coffee shop for a few hours, I headed to the greenhouse on campus. It's one of my favorite places on campus. It's just so beautiful and fun to see all of the different projects that are going on. I had to go to the greenhouse because I needed to water my seedlings for an ongoing project I'm working on, looking at plant microbe interactions. After the greenhouse, came home to find Lady just sunbathing. What a hard life she lives. Before I spent a few hours working on my presentation again, as well as my proposal. Finished work around 8 o'clock before going out to grab a quick drink with my roommate. Thanks for watching!
As a graduate student studying plant ecophysiology, every day looks a little bit different, so I decided to share with you guys a week in my life. So I start my days off with a morning routine, and then on Mondays in particular, I work from home. On Mondays, I plan my week out by writing my to-do list, I catch up on emails, I have some virtual meetings, and then I spend the rest of the day doing remote work, so analyzing data, reading papers, and doing a little bit of writing. And the very best part of working from home is spending time with my cats. And then I ordered food from our campus robot, and for the end of the day, I decided to go to the community garden where I have a garden plot of my own, and it's just for fun to have my own plants that are not for research purposes. I love growing my own food. And on Tuesday, I went in to check on some leaves that I had been staining, did some experiment planning, and then headed to the greenhouse where I went to check on my young avocado trees. And when I go check on them, I usually start by cleaning up any leaf litter to make sure that mites don't spread, and then I stake any trees that seem to be falling over because these trees are growing very quickly. On Wednesdays, I like to switch it up and leave town and work in a coffee shop. I work very productively for many hours, and then by the time the shop closes, I go out and explore something new. And this week, I went to an aquarium, and that was awesome. Thursday, I went in to talk to my students. I meet with them usually weekly, and we talk about their research. And then it was actually raining, so I wasn't able to go to the field as I had hoped, but there's still a chance for Friday. So in the meantime, I went to check on an avocado tree that I had just set up in a growth chamber for a preliminary experiment. I'm trying to see how long this avocado tree should be in this growth chamber. The growth chamber manipulates temperature and humidity. And right here, I was just trying to see how it's impacting my plant. And this is helping me figure out how many days I should run this experiment for. On Friday, my student and I went out to the adult avocado trees to collect shoots with leaves that we will bring back to the lab and run experiments with over the next 10 days. We actually ran a little bit behind because we ran into our collaborators who gave us some fruits, which we love, but I was late to my next meeting, so I actually met one of my students on Zoom at a cafe during lunch. Then I made it back to campus, and there I cut all of the shoots that we collected so that they could best be stored for experiments that will run over the next 10 days.
guys, welcome to a day in the life of a PhD student at UCI. Today I woke up around 8:30 and the first thing I do after I brush my teeth, wash my face, and use the restroom is walk Taquito, my baby. He's the cutest. Here we are walking. Walk. Anyway, I come back to make a quick breakfast, get ready for school. I forgot to record that part. Then I go to the bus stop, take the bus to avoid walking like 25 minutes to my building because the campus is kind of big. Here I'm just walking from the bus stop to my building, which is that one, to the right, the one with the windows, that one. I head to the 3rd floor where my office is, and then you can see my desk here is that corner desk. This is my usual setup, and I'm usually either coding or writing. Right here, I was just taking notes about my simulations and the next simulations I was going to run. It's a lot of that for that day. I left around 5, and the first thing I do as soon as I get back is walk Taquito again because he's been waiting for me. I usually come back straight to make dinner or just heat up some leftovers, but I had to have a quick catch-up session with my roommate. Fun fact, she's my best friend from back home. I convinced her to enroll in the PhD back in 2018. I ended up starting a year after. But anyway, I forgot to record the rest of the night. I had a light dinner, quick shower. I walked for the last time and then head to bed. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Hey everyone, my name's Kyle. Welcome to a day in my life as a 3rd-year Earth System Science PhD candidate. A couple days a week, me and some friends like to go surfing in the morning before work. It's a great way to start the day in nature and away from academia. And it's also a really great workout and really addictive, even though I'm really bad at it. I usually just commute straight to work from the beach. I try to get in every day between 7 and 9. I like to get my work done early, but the great thing about a PhD is that there's a lot of freedom in the work schedule based on what you and your PI really agree on, and so that's one of the great plus sides of doing a PhD. So once I'm in my office, I'm usually stuck here for probably 80% of my day. I'm a 3rd year on fellowship, so I don't have to TA this year. And so most of my time is spent in this office doing research work, reading, writing, data analysis, and of course working on code that only works 50% of the time. Oftentimes I'll go for a little midday walk to remember what the sun feels like, and sometimes that ends up at Starbucks for a midday pick-me-up. But honestly, a lot of times it's the little things in the PhD that will help you keep your sanity. The rest of my day is just spent back in the office, and then I try to leave anytime between 3 and 5, hopefully before 5 just to miss traffic, since I live off campus. That's one of the major cons of living off campus, along with it being pretty expensive in California. But along with my salary and my partner's salary, we're able to figure that out. And yes, you do get paid as a PhD student, but one of the really great things about living off campus is getting away from work and academia and escaping that for a bit and having a life outside of it, which I think is pretty important. Once I finally get home, I try to eat some dinner and spend some time with my partner if she's home from work, and just generally unwinding and trying to stay away from work at all costs, and getting ready for bed to do it all again the next day.
Welcome. This is a day in the life of a PhD student. Hi, my name is Marina. I start my day early in the morning by heading out to yoga. I thankfully have a car, which makes access much easier here in Southern California. Any graduate student will tell you that you need a hobby outside of school to keep you sane, so mine is yoga. I come home and I walk up my stairs. I live on campus, which is nice and convenient. Say hi to Freddie, my cat. And time for breakfast and my first coffee. And then time to get to work. This is my at-home setup. If I were to show you an at-home day, this would be all day. I split my days between working at home and working on campus. Today is a Wednesday, so I have nothing until 11 a.m. Once it's time to go, I pack up and I head out. I ride my bike to school, nice and quick, downhill, 7-minute bike ride, very convenient. Grab my lunch and head up the stairs to my now on-campus office, where I would drop off my stuff and head to my meeting. I didn't film it, so here I am getting straight back to work. Morning work time before lunch. I work on my computer, so this is my whole day every day, except lunchtime I get to go outside and join my lovely fellow graduate students in sunny Southern California. But after lunch it is time to get back to work, so here we are back at it. I only work on my computer because I am an ocean modeler, so I do get to set my own schedule most days, which is super nice. I head home as soon as I feel like I've done enough work, 5:30, 6 or 7, whenever that feels right, and I go ahead and I bike home. If you are a lab-based or a field-based PhD student, you might have more time constraints. I'm home, I get to play with Freddie, make dinner, do the dishes, feed Freddie, and hang out until bedtime.
We have created a rapidly changing world for ourselves. And as scary as that is, it's also kind of fascinating. Hi, I'm Allison. I'm a PhD student studying the effects of climate change on land. Humans represent an unprecedented pulse to the Earth system. We have done all kinds of crazy stuff to the Earth. And now we're kind of left scratching our heads, wondering what's next. Well, the Arctic region represents an interesting case study about what might be next because it's warming 4 times as fast as the global average. It's getting so warm that we are watching frozen soils that have been frozen for thousands of years melt under our feet and our infrastructure. And you're probably wondering, what's in the soil? Why do we care? So normally when something dies or when leaves fall from a tree, they go into the soil and microscopic organisms eat them up, decompose them, and emit compounds usable for life. At colder temperatures, the microbes aren't very efficient, and so this dead stuff ends up piling up. As you may know, life on Earth is full of carbon, and so these cold soils end up accumulating a lot of carbon. As you also may know, carbon compounds are a major culprit of global warming. So through various biological processes, as it gets warmer, soils melt, microbes become more active, they emit more carbon into the atmosphere, amplifying the greenhouse effect and encouraging more warming. So before you think, oh my god, the permafrost is melting and we are doomed, there is another interesting piece to this puzzle. What else, besides microbes, likes warmer temperatures? Plants. Right now, the Arctic is a tundra. Plant growth is constrained by extreme temperatures, but if those temperatures lax a little bit, it can encourage bigger plants to come in. Like I said, all living things include plants. Plants have a lot of carbon in them. So at the same time we're seeing permafrost melting, carbon leaving the soil into the atmosphere, we're seeing more plant growth, carbon from the atmosphere going back into the biosphere, into plants, via photosynthesis. And this is usually where people ask me, so this is a good thing? Yes, if you mean for humans, yes, it's a good thing. We really don't want more carbon in the atmosphere. That is our main problem right now. And so if we see increased plant growth and we see maybe some of this carbon that's being emitted from the soil or even from fossil fuels going into the biosphere and out of the atmosphere, that's what we want because that will slow global warming. Don't get too excited. It wouldn't be like anything near enough to reverse climate change. And honestly, we still don't know. Like, we don't know what the carbon balance is going to end up looking like in the Arctic or even globally. But this is a question that I find fascinating, that I'm working on in my research. And if you find questions like these fascinating, you can become a researcher and tackle stuff like this as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen. I'm a third-year PhD student in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology at the University of California, Irvine, and I wanted to make this video to introduce you all to a really cool field site that we use to study extreme drought here in Southern California. As you may have seen in the news, California got a lot of rain this year, resulting in these astounding before and after photos of different lakes and reservoirs across the state. But this doesn't necessarily mean that California is out of its multi-year drought. So despite all of the snow and rain that the state received, groundwater reserves are still not completely full, and drought is a long-term phenomenon. So one really wet year doesn't negate a trend of really dry years. Because drought is such a serious concern here in Southern California, as it is in many parts of the world, researchers at UC Irvine set up the Loma Ridge Global Change Experiment to study how our local ecosystems respond to severe drought. The Loma Ridge Global Change Experiment was set up in 2007 just north of UCI's campus, and it consists of 64 of these experimental plots that you see above me. half of these plots received 50% less rainfall than the control plots, simulating a severe drought like one we might see in the future here in Southern California. And this experiment is set up in both a local grassland and a shrubland in order to see how different vegetation types respond to drought. In order to simulate drought in the field, we use these giant tarps to cover our drought plots, which we put up for half of the rainfall events each year, so this prevents any rain from hitting the plants and soil below. This field site has been used by a number of different universities and organizations, as seen below me, and has been the subject of over 20 scientific publications and counting. In my work as a PhD student, I have used Loma Ridge to explore how microbial communities, so bacteria and fungi, in the soil are responding to drought. And we care about microbial communities in terrestrial ecosystems because they're responsible for nutrient cycling. So they break down and recycle nutrients that are found in the dead and decaying plant matter that builds up on the soil surface. In order to assess how microbial communities in the soil are influenced by drought, as part of my PhD research, I took soil samples from the drought and control plots up at Loma Ridge, extracted and sequenced the DNA within those samples, and then compared microbial community structure between the drought and control treatments. This allows us to assess how microbial communities in the field are going to respond to drought in the future. Overall, my work, along with a decade of previous work at the Loma Ridge Global Change Experiment, have shown that microbial communities and plant communities are sensitive to drought and other environmental change factors like nitrogen availability and wildfire. And these changes have important implications for things like carbon and nitrogen cycling, which future research will continue to explore. So stay tuned for all the amazing research coming out of the Loma Ridge Global Change Experiment, and thanks for listening.
Come join us today at a local agricultural site where we're going to learn more about avocado trees.
I'm Ethan. I'm a third-year undergraduate student, a biochemistry major. We study how avocados move and use water.
The most common avocado that you'll probably find at the grocery store is Hass. There's actually over 200 types of avocados. Here's an example of another avocado. You can see there's a big size difference. Some avocados also, you can eat the skin. And these come from different trees that we call cultivars. Here's one. Here's another.
Here's another one.
Here's another.
Here's another one.
And here's another.
Perfect. So here we have one of the avocado leaves, and if you can see here, these are the veins. And you can think of the veins sort of like a highway, and the veins transport sugar and water throughout the plant. One thing we look at is sort of like a traffic jam in the leaf, where air bubbles get stuck in the veins, and that restricts how much water can flow through the leaf.
We hope that next time you see an avocado, you'll remember. Each one is a unique story of nature's diversity. Keep exploring and appreciate the variety.
You may have heard this a lot of times from news and social medias, but California is literally on fire. In September 2020, there were like 30 large wildfires burning in California at the same time, scorching about 14,000 square kilometer forest and destroying thousands of buildings. The smoke from wildfires even turned the sky this eerie orange shade. Hi, this is Shu. I'm a PhD student in Civil and Environmental Engineering at UC Irvine. Our lab is all about tackling wildfire crises, and one of our major tasks is to figure out when, where, and why California is struggling so hard with these flames. We did some research and compared the fire data before and after the year 2000, and we found that since the year 2000, the wildfire season is getting longer and more intense. It's used to peak in August, but now it's moved up a whole month to July. And there's another shocker that the wildfire threat has spread across the whole California like a wildfire. Back in the day, the Los Angeles County is the only place that has very high fire risks. But now, even the coastal area that hardly caught fires before the year 2000 are at serious risk. And there are a lot of causes for this increased fire danger. First off, climate is changing. California is getting hotter and drier. And also, there are more people living in California now. Some of the hot zones of fire danger are at the intersection of urban area and wildland area. We have enough fuel to consume during wildfires and also have high probability of sparking. So to reduce wildfire risks, it would be proactive to provide wildfire education to residents living in the region with high fire risks, and also update the wildfire risks map in time. And during the wildfire season, issue early warnings to the residents living the fire risk zone. And we need everyone to be aware of and take actions to prevent large wildfires.
Hello guys, join me at the Blodgett Forest Research Station to learn about prescribed fires. Right here we have Rob York. He manages the UC Berkeley's Blodgett Research Forest. He's conducting a prescribed fire using a strip heading fire technique that you can see in the picture. It kind of goes in zigzag to create a fire break and control the spread of the fire. So a prescribed fire is a controlled burn that's carried out to remove dead fuel from the forest ground. This lowers the risk of future fires from igniting as easily, and if they happen to do so, it's going to prevent them from becoming high-intensity fires that are just harder to contain. They can only be carried out by experienced professionals, and as long as certain weather conditions are met. You can see the shape a little better here, and he uses a drip torch to ignite it. I'm part of the Boundary Layer and Turbulence Lab at UCI, and we go up to Blodgett to collect data for experiments we conduct. Right here we have a halo scanning lidar that uses a laser light to measure the distribution and movement of aerosols. In this case, we're interested in smoke, as well as a MET station that you're going to see to the left that measures the concentrations of CO2 and water vapor in the air, as well as wind speed and direction. Then we move a little further down, closer to the pile burn that we're going to conduct. That's Alec setting up a 3D sonic anemometer. Additionally, we have a drone set up with a thermal camera and some other cameras to capture the movement of the plume. This is a quick clip of us using the LiDAR sensor in the drone to collect pre-fire data. We also do during the fire and post-fire data collection. So this is what the pile burn looks like. We have all the instruments collecting data. That is what the LiDAR is picking up right now, the scanning LiDAR, which is behind the computer. This is a night pile burn experiment where we are looking at particle tracking from those embers that you see moving over there to kind of understand their behavior a little better and build models that can accurately represent this behavior. Here's a quick picture of my lab group and I. Thank you guys for watching.
Have you ever been talking to someone about the earth or nature or maybe our impact on the environment and you heard someone say, well, you know, everything is connected? Well, that's actually not just a conspiracy theory made up by tree huggers or granola eaters. It's actually a scientifically accurate statement. It's called system science. And I'll give you a peer into some of the work that I'm involved with that will show you that that is actually true. I'm Kyle Manley. I'm a third-year PhD candidate at UC Irvine in the Department of Earth System Science. So I study social ecological systems, so basically how human systems are connected with ecosystems. And so in social ecological systems, changes in the environment can affect human behavior and vice versa, because there are dependencies and feedbacks and complex interactions between the two. So the way we study social ecological systems in my lab is through the lens of ecosystem services, which are just the benefits that we receive from nature. So I'm working from home today, but we can use my house plant as an example. So this tree cleans the air of my apartment. It captures carbon dioxide from the air and stores it and helps with climate change, things like that. So the main ecosystem services that I study are nature-based recreation and tourism. These have massive benefits to both individual health and well-being, as well as to local, national, and global economies. Billions of people every year love to take advantage of these services, whether it be through hiking or surfing or visiting a new country for the unique biodiversity. But as with most ecosystem services, these services are particularly highly vulnerable to climate change, whether that be through impacts to ecosystems, biodiversity, or just the climatic patterns that impact people's willingness or ability to go outside and take advantage of those services. The problem is, though, that there is a huge lack of data. So basically, we need data that can tell us where people are recreating in nature at a high level of detail, or what we call high resolution, in both time and geographically in space. Luckily, more recently, it's been found that social media data can give us great insights on people's recreational behavior. When you upload a post on, say, Instagram, The metadata gives us an idea of where that post was uploaded. And so we know where people are going, when they're going, and that way we can connect recreation to different environmental factors, social factors, climate factors. Ultimately, this really helps us peer into the relationship between humans and the environment, gives us an idea of what's going on within this social ecological system, and that allows us to predict in the future how that's going to change with the changing environment, the changing climate.
Did you know that the ocean has taken up between 25 and 40% of human-caused carbon dioxide emissions? Hi, my name's Marina. I am a chemical oceanographer. I study the carbon dioxide cycle in the ocean. Quick side note, chemical oceanography is not the same as marine biology. I'm not a biologist. I don't study whales or dolphins. I'm studying the chemistry of the ocean, the physics and the chemistry of the ocean with the ocean circulation and ocean models, global ocean models. The ocean has taken up between 25 and 40% of human-produced CO2 emissions. 25 to 40%. Can you imagine how much worse off we would be if the atmosphere had that much more carbon dioxide in it? The ocean is our savior. It's buffering our response to climate change. So what I study in my work is trying to narrow down that range. 25 to 40% is a big uncertainty. And the reason we have that big uncertainty is when carbon dioxide goes into the ocean, it turns into all of these different parts of the carbon dioxide system. And we can measure two of those. We can measure pH, we can measure other parts. And we can plug those two measurements into a carbon dioxide system calculator that already exists. But when we plug that in, the output calculated CO2 that we get can be up to 30% different based on which input measurement you use. 30% different is huge. So my work is helping to reduce that uncertainty, or that internal inconsistency as it's called, by making a new CO2 system calculator that can handle a lot more data input at the same time. So with more data, we should hopefully get a better understanding of exactly what's wrong with our understanding of the CO2 system in seawater, so that we can narrow down our estimates and get a really good understanding of how much carbon dioxide the ocean has taken up from the atmosphere, and then be able to better predict how much more carbon dioxide it will be able to take up in the future to help in our fight against climate change.